but I can imagine scenarios during early access of PoE 2 where PoE 1 might end up with a delay here or there. Ooh, ooh. We have Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt Q&A. Throw everything you knew in the bin. Following the Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt press presentation, Grinding Games director Jonathan Rogers sent out to answer several questions from the assembled press, both regarding the new expansion and the game as a whole. You can find the full transcript below. As a reminder, Dawn of the Hunt will launch simultaneously on April 4 across all platforms. Oh, okay. This is basically the transcript of the interview they did with CED after the stream. Hey, this is cool because I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want to watch the full interview. So this is better for me. But I will not read all this yet. So we will look at the cool questions and we will look at them. Will unique bosses created by Wiz drop increase loot? Yes, absolutely. That's the whole point. Okay, I like that. This is a good question because I am always talking about this. And I said that this was going to be one of the most important things about the patch. Path of Exile 2 has two radically different gameplay tempos, the slow methodical campaign and the faster endgame, more similar to the first game. Do you aim to slow down the endgame and provide players with more agency to use slow reactive skills like parry, blocks, and combo skills? The answer to that is it's not that in the endgame things suddenly change or anything. It's just that there are various meta builds that I would say were overpowered and have led to a situation where, in order to fight in the endgame effectively, people have tended to center around a few broken things. But you have to also understand, my dude Jonathan, that people are doing that because the endgame is also cracked. And if you don't do that, you don't succeed. If you nerf us, but you don't nerf the game itself, then nobody's going to be able to do the content, dude. Nobody's, because the characters won't have the power to do it. You understand? Now this patch also contains a full rebalance that will improve a lot of the more broken things that have been going on, which means that we don't have as many people feeling like they're forced into some of that stuff. We should balance things out. The other thing is that we're changing the on-ramp to endgame quite a bit, especially with things like being able to die in the game. You should be in a scenario where people don't feel the need to use that stuff and those builds are not so much available. Again, this is good news. This is good news. Like, I am not saying this is bad. This is good. But it is worrying to me that he's not addressing that they should also nerf the game itself. We don't want to make it so, and not in terms maybe of damage or of mechanics, but in terms of speed. If the mobs are cracked and are going to one-shot you, you need to be cracked and one-shot them back to not die. That is what I'm saying. The game forces you to this play style. Usually, we do want to make it so that you can still get very powerful as you go through, but it should be more earned than it is currently, where there's just a few broken things. It will take a while for us to get all that stuff fully resolved, so he's aiming for that to not be solved, completely solved this patch. They are going to work at it on the go, and I do think that that is a correct approach. There is always going to come up stuff that you can fix in other patches, right? It may take a few iterations before every single broken thing is ironed, but it's a constant goal and we'll get it in the end. Nice. Are we going to face monsters as strong as we've seen in the first Path of Exile if we use the Wisp too hard? We obviously got a different balance overall. One thing we want to try and avoid is having monsters that are just complete damage sponges. That being said, it is important that you have the ability to make mistakes, to go too far with this kind of stuff. If you add a lot of mechanics to maps, you can get to the point where content becomes very, very difficult, but obviously more rewarding as well. That is obvious. Then they ask the most important question. Do you have any information about the development progress of the Druid class? I don't have anything to announce right now. The plan is to announce it and release it as soon as we can. Classes do take a long time. There's a lot of work involved in them. One thing we definitely learned is that it's hard to promise a specific release timeline for a class. This is getting me bummed out. Because the last time they said something about the Druid, they said that it was going to be the next class together with the Hunters. Now, they didn't release the Druid. And now when they are asked about it, they are not saying it again. Like, the next class is going to be the Druid for sure. They are just, hey, we don't know. Brother, motherfucker, I want to be a wolf. Dude, give it to me. In the last season, there wasn't much of balancing nerfing the class skills or items. Are you going to make balance changes during the season or continue the way you did in the last season? When we went into early access with Path of Exile 2, we did believe that we'd be able to do a bunch of nerfing and that kind of stuff during leaks, which we don't normally do. We click and found out that it's really just like a live game. You can't just nerf stuff mid-league because it breaks people's bills and they get very angry. We pretty much stopped doing that very quickly. This update will do a huge amount of balance, and then anything really egregious will fix as it comes up. But generally speaking, we try to leave the balance mostly alone during the league. We now effectively bottle up all of those balance changes and then we release them when we're doing a season. As I said, it's a full game rebalance this time. A lot of the things that players are currently complaining about, like Herald Device, maybe it is Herald of Ice and the bot fucked it up. And this kind of stuff will definitely get nerfed this season, of course. Do you have any plans to enable players to loot items from the ground in case they die immediately after killing a mob? That's kind of something that I would say is pretty disliked as far as solutions go, because we tend to avoid things that don't make any physical sense thematically. Don't make me click the well then. I don't know. Like, are you making me click the well because it makes sense? I don't know. Obviously, if you're dead, you can't pick items. I know that's one of those issues that players are unhappy about, but fundamentally, there is just a thing of if you die, you don't get to loot stuff. People are not going to be happy about that one, dude. Will the least played ascendancies as Acolyte, Chronomancer, Warbringer, and Witch Hunter get changed in the update? I wouldn't say Chronomancer is not very well played, but for the others, Chronomancer, well, they have the data, but I have to believe that not much people play Chronomancer, but they have the data, more than me. But for the others, the overall balance is changing very significantly. The reason why certain ascendancies are played the most is usually because there's something broken going on with them. It isn't necessarily the case that the less played ones need buffing, although in lots of cases, we will do it. Effectively, all your previous assumptions just need to be thrown in the bin because there's enough changes as far as balance is concerned that you just can't expect things to work exactly the same. This makes me happy because that is what I want to happen. Balance the game so much, change so many stuff that effectively we have a new fucking game. That is fucking cool, dude. Can the Smith of Kitava take multiple of the armor modifiers, and does it require committing one ascendancy point for each one of them? Yes, you can take as many as you like as long as you have ascendancy points. It's a question of, do you want to be using the other elements of the class or do you want to go all in on those armor modifiers, which can be pretty powerful. There's just quite a lot of choice there in this class. I didn't know this was the way it worked, and this is good news. Because now I understand how it works. What additional uses do you have planned for gold in the future? This is a good question. I'm not going to announce any right now, but it's just useful having that currency around. We know that they are planning to do something with trading that involves gold. We know that. They have already said it in the past. It looks like map portals are tied to the number of resurrects and get lower if it gets harder. If we have some maps with fewer portals to go back and forth, does it mean we won't be able to carry as many items, especially for maps with multiple breaches? That is the case. However, I guess the theory here is that you shouldn't generally need to take more than an inventory or two full of items. It is a concern though, and we'll have to see how well it works. I would hope there's something that we can do to alleviate that. I'm just thinking right now that maybe after the map is completed, we could allow potentially more, but I'll have to think about that. It's actually something that I should probably investigate a bit more. Brother, like right now, it was working fine. If you want to have only one death per map, you have it right now, but we could come and go out of the map as we please to fill the stash or to make a trade or something. Now you only will have one portal, so if you want to trade, you have to complete the map. Trading is going to suck even more this patch. Fix trading, motherfucker. Now you will whisper people to do a trade and they won't trade you because they are in a map. And they would waste their portal to go and trade with you. How the fuck do you not think about this? Are you planning to adjust the drop rates of currency items? There's always adjustments. Generally speaking, normal currency is mostly fine. We don't really have a particular issue with it. There are certain things, for example, omens are not common enough, and we made it so that every ritual has an omen in it now. But I wouldn't say overall that currency items needed above or anything like that. We're mostly happy with them. Okay. Any hints about the remaining story? Will they be released individually or maybe as a big story league or expansion? We are planning on launching them later. We're not going to announce when that's going to be for the time being. But obviously they all have to get done by the time we get into full release. Okay. You initially talked about wanting the Path of Exile 2 early access phase to last 1 year. Now we're a little further in, does it still feel like a realistic goal to reach the state you want for 1.0? I am definitely very keen to get it done this year. I would be very disappointed if we weren't able to. It's not 100% guaranteed. We might sleep. I'm still very much hoping that we're not going to. Looking at the content of this particular expansion, there's a lot of stuff going on here and a lot of it is reactionary to the problems that we saw with the game. But in the background, we've still got artists and people all working on other acts. There is a lot behind the scenes work going on in creating the rest of the content. We might have released more of that stuff if it hadn't been for the fact that we felt like we had to add a lot of in-game features. Can we get it done this year? I think it's possible. Probably not, probably not. But hey, who cares? Are there any plans to change goals so it isn't a drop item but rather an auto pickup on kill like expedition artifacts receive that quality of life in Path of Exile? Definitely not. I think it's nice that you pick it up. What changes to the trading system can players expect during the Path of Exile to early access? Great fucking question. I don't have anything to announce about this, of course not. But I do have some things I want to try and improve here. Please, it sucks dick. It is the worst system I have ever seen in my fucking life. Obviously, currency is much easier to trade. There are other things people want to do with trading. There are things that I would potentially change, and we definitely want to make sure we're testing those changes before the end of early access, because it's one of those things that can affect the economy pretty significantly. PoE 2 has a stupid trading system, and you are making it worse this patch, by the way. Know that you are making it worse this patch if you don't fix the one portal shit. Because if you only give me one portal, people are not going to go out of the map to trade unless it is a crazy item, right? Like, if your expected value out of this map is 10 exalted and someone whispers you for a 50 exalted item, maybe you take the trade, right? But why create that dichotomy? Why create that, even create that scenario, dude? A system that was already bad, you are making it worse with the one portal shit. I bet that players will portal to their hideout to trade less than 30% of the time. Yeah, it has to be like the trade, you really want this trade because it is a lot of currency. If not, you are not going to TP out. This will kill one exalted trade, by the way. I always give my characters at the start of the league, like when the game started, like for the whole first month, I just traded for one exalted items that really gave me a lot of power when the character got 2 maps. People are not going to be trading for one exalted. So, am I going to waste my portal for one exalted? Fuck that. This is a good question that I already know the answer, but I want to read it for you guys. Will you please clarify if this update is a league on its own or if there will be several leagues before the next major content update? Every new update we do will contain a new economy. In this particular case, we decided not to put any of the content exclusive to the new economy. But in the future, we may decide to do that before early access is over. But generally speaking, there's probably going to be more content in this Path of Exile 2 updates than what you would have seen in Path of Exile 1 leaks in the past. Just because we're finishing the game at the same time. That should result in a lot. In this particular case, our focus was really more on endgame and making sure there were lots of new encounters to find there. While we did add the wisp throughout the game, and we've also added the strongbox and things like that, we didn't think it quite rose to the level of being able to make it exclusive to the league and to be able to call it a challenge league in the way that we would have done in the past. The wisps were the closest thing to a new league mechanic here, but as I said, we decided not to make them exclusive this time. I am keen to do exclusive challenge league content for future expansions before the end of early access, just because when we do that, we can also decide whether we want to remove them, change them, or mess around with them. That's our plan, but honestly, we'll see, because ultimately, everything comes down to the degree to which we want to feel like with others in the concerts that people have online. So, as you guys know, the new changes are going to be put into the Eternal League, to say that way, the Standard League. You can start on the new league, and the majority of people are going to start on the new league, but the old league is going to get the changes too. Which means that with the currency you have saved up, you can be like character day one and test the content day one, right? So the meta will be figured out much faster this time. That is my opinion. This is a good one. Will all the remaining classes be added to early access before release, or could some be held back for the full launch? There is actually a chance of that. I suspect we're probably not going to have all of them for full release, but we'll see. It depends on how things go and where things end. Obviously, I like to get them all in, but they do take a long time to make. The most important thing for the full release is that we have the full campaign and there's all the content that we need. It's not like we got a shortage of classes. If we didn't have one or two of them for the full release, that wouldn't be the end of the world. We'll try to get them all in, but if we don't, then whatever. This is the same thing we saw in the other interview. And again, it is not a full release if you don't have all the classes in there. It is also not the end of the world. You can do it. And hey, having 9 or 10 classes is a fuck ton of classes, more than any other ARPG. But don't call it the full release, because it is not full. Full is with all the classes. This will be a release. The last time you mentioned that Path of Exile 1 will continue receiving updates as long as it has players. Are the current player numbers sufficient to justify ongoing development? It absolutely is. Good news. The issue with Path of Exile 1 development really just comes down to studio bandwidth from the perspective of designers who know how to make Path of Exile. We don't have a huge number of them. Obviously, we have a bunch of people who work on the game, but in terms of game director tier people who are able to lead a project like that, we don't have enough to the point where we can just be okay. You just go off and do your thing. Mark and I have to keep an eye on it. For that reason, it's been a challenge to get the structure in place so that we can actually get both games go rolling. With regards to your question, our company had both games in the top 20 player concurrency for Steam at one point a few weeks ago. I certainly say that both games have their place with regard to player popularity. It's definitely worth continuing to support Path of Exile 1. I agree with this answer. I even made a video talking about this, and I said to you guys, and he's selling himself short because he said top 20. There was a very fine point in time that they were both in top 10. Like for 1 hour. There was 1 hour the day of the release of the Free Shell League that both games were top 10. Yes, dude, both games are awesome. Both games deserve to be upgraded, updated, and keep going. Will Path of Exile 2 and its predecessor alternate new seasons from now on, or will there be another Path of Exile 2 season after Dawn of the Hunt? There will be another Path of Exile 1 season between Dawn of the Hunt and the next Path of Exile 2 season for sure. As for how it works going forward, we're keen to alternate them, but it's going to come down to the realities of development and what happens. Certainly the eventual goal, by the time everything is rolling and working smoothly, it will definitely be the case that they're going to alternate like that. But I can imagine a scenario during early access of PoE 2 where PoE 1 might end up with a delay here or there. Ooh. With the Atlas 3 expanding, are we going to have more points for the Atlas 3? Yes, you are. Actually, I don't remember the number now. It is 40. I do remember the number, 40. Both the Corrupted Nexus objective and the Unique Map objectives get you Atlas points. Both the 3 and the points have been expanded. Okay. This is cool new information. Some of the things that we didn't knew, some things that we now know. Like, basically, we have all the information we could need about this. The only thing that is remaining are the patch notes for the patch. And just keep enjoying the game. Keep waiting, but also keep having fun. We have to remember that there are also other games. We will have the Last Epoch patch, the No Rest for the Wicked patch. Those are the other ARPGs that I am excited about. You will tell me, hey, yes, Diablo 4 is getting a new season in April too. I don't know, brother. Path of Exile, Last Epoch, No Rest for the Wicked. Will I have time to play Diablo 4? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But this was a great read, dude. Like, there is info in here that is worth it, dude. Guys, thank you very much for being here. You guys are fucking awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because This is just a ride.